Spurs suffered a second away defeat in 4 days, and a late goal from Traore stunned the Champions League contenders. Cass, let's get into it, because should we start with Wolves? They're up to 13th, seen a bit of momentum. Yes, we know there's a bit of a gap there, but what was it they got right yesterday compared to Spurs?
Got right. I mean, they stayed in the game. I mean, I thought Raul Jimenez had a really good game for Wolves yesterday, by the way. I know Traore got the goal, but he led the line brilliantly for Wolves. And they played slightly different. Traore was on the right. Jimenez and Cunha are in the team. I mean, I can't really have a go. People will criticise Tottenham here, but Tottenham did enough to get something out of the game. Hit the woodwork 3 times, had some good chances. Keeper Sar pulled off some decent saves. I mean, look. Some Tottenham fans were saying they're still lacklustre, they're still not quite on their game. I didn't think they were that bad yesterday. They weren't nowhere near what happened at Bramall Lane. So it's a tough one. Look, everyone's going to talk about Kane between now and this end of this season. Where does he go with Spurs? You know, because like I said earlier, they feel like they're going to, if they get full spot, it'll be by default, because other teams have just been worse than them, because it doesn't feel like no one's deserved that fourth spot at the moment. And I don't know what you do with Kane. If you're a football club, how do you move on from Harry Kane? Because it feels like you're losing so much. And yes, there'll be a poorer team, but watching Harry yesterday, it does feel, and he's had these periods during this season, even though he's got lots of goals, is that it feels like it just has to be the end. The last season he's going to represent Spurs. And do you think he's going to get that move to Manchester United? And do you think United should put all the money at him? I think there will be amazing offers for him, because he's a terrific player, and it is last chance saloon when you're approaching 30. You know, there isn't much time left to do it, so he's going to have to make a call. And I think even the die-hard Tottenham fans understand Kane has to go and move on. He has to go and win things, or be part of teams that are challenging. He has to be that, because he's that good.
Do you have him, though, Cass, as one of the all-time strikers? Like, would you have him in your top 3 strikers in the Premier League?
Well, Shearer would be there. Obviously, Henry would be up there.
Yeah.
I mean, Aguero, I think he was an amazing striker, Aguero. And there's many, many others. There's loads of them. The list is endless, you know, from Drogba to many, many others. You know, strikers. He's certainly, for me, I would say, he's definitely in the top 10. Would he make the top 3? Probably not yet, but by the end of his career, he could be in there.
Where do you want to see him go?
Where do I want to see him go? Liverpool.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
but I don't think that's going to happen. I think United will get him.
Do you
if
think
anybody.
Chelsea will sneak in and try and get him? With that?
I don't think he'd go to Chelsea. I just don't think that's the move that I know he thinks he can't do.
Would be total villain vibes, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, talk to me about Antonio Conte and the lack of having him there in the dugout. Do you think that's affecting the squad? And the fact that upset in the FA Cup just a few days ago, did they respond enough, Spurs, yesterday?
Well, like I said, I thought they had enough chances. They cracked enough problems and probably should have got something out of the game. It was more of a game of frustration from them yesterday. Look, the coach called out a few, called out the squad really about their mentality, and I think that's never going to leave this squad until they achieve something. You know, 2008 is the last time Spurs won a trophy. It's too long.
Yeah.
They've got a fantastic stadium. They've got one of the best stadiums, if not the best, in the country. You know, and there's been a lot of money invested, and yet the team are, at best, is just making Champions League football. It feels like they have to do way more as a club.
Are they lacking that winning mentality?
Well, no, I think so. You can't say that about Harry Kane.
But you actually can say that about
you can't. No, I think it's harsh to say he lacks he's got a winning mentality. He's won golden boots and things like that. But
he hasn't won a trophy with a team.
Maybe the team's not been good enough.
Even with England, I think you have to look and go, on that stage at the World Cup, like, is he strong enough up there? You know, when you saw what happened
I
at the
think
World Cup?
he is. Well, I think it's really harsh. I think certainly at club level, I think you can point the finger at the teams that have not been good enough. I think he's been well good enough, because that would be proven if he went to a team. If the City move would have gone to, if it had gone to Manchester City the season before and gone there, he'd have had a Premier League title last year. Okay, without a doubt. So he has joined a team that are clearly good enough to challenge for the title. Tottenham haven't had that team for a number of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, we're aware that he's got a number of personal accolades, but actually with a team, they are lacking a winning mentality. I mean, that is
as a team, but you can have players that are probably too good for your team. Yeah, other club. The reason he hasn't left is because they've priced him out the market.
And you mentioned this earlier on as well about Declan Rice. Some players just need a move now. And what will happen for Harry Kane this summer? It looks like he's all but out the door, or should get that move this summer. What happens to Spurs then? What happens?
What happens to Spurs? Well, you'd hope there's some silver lining that you can move on as a football club, because you can't just live waiting for the day that the guy's not good enough anymore. You just can't wait for that. You're going to have to make a call, and you have to. Maybe you've got to get your recruitment even better. If you can see Brighton do it, and you can see Brentford do it, and you can see other clubs achieving, bringing in players like Fulham have done as well.
Yep.
Why can't Spurs do that? Why has recruitment at Spurs been very modest at best?
Conte, you happy with him? Do you think he'll stay after the summer?
No idea. If you had a player, you'd get rid of him. That was if his future was uncertain. And I feel like with Conte, it's uncertain. So if I was an owner, I don't want an uncertainty with my manager. Yep. I want to know where I stand.
Still fourth in the table. It's not that bad.
By default, they're not there because they've been incredibly good. Tottenham have had a very indifferent season.
And do you think they'll keep Champions League football this season?
Achieve? Touch and go for them. Don't know if they're good enough. I just don't know if they're good enough. I said early on in the season they're a hard watch, and at times that's not exactly correct because they've had some real ding-dong games as well. I think the Leeds at the Tottenham Stadium. But there's been a number of performances you come away and think, this team top four? No, I don't think so.